Well, good morning. This is Jim Moore, and you are watching or listening to Justice for America this Monday, September 7th, 2024. I think it's still the 7th. No, it's not the 7th. What day is it today? It's the 2nd. I don't know why I've got the 7th written down there. Sometimes I hit the keys wrong. All right, so it's Monday, September 2nd. 2024. We're going to be jumping into this episode number 101, and this will be available later on YouTube and probably both of my channels on YouTube and Rumble. Hope that you go to those channels even though you're watching it here and just leave a comment. Just say something. Show that you tuned into it. That will help, again, the algorithms wake up and literally allow more people to see it. All right, so today we're talking about crashing Cali or California, crashing California and Colorado. I'm going to show you some stuff that you probably might not know. Raised a Marxist, true or false? Talking about Kamala, was she raised a Marxist, true or false? And then last but not least, Brazil banishing or bans X, formerly known as Twitter. Okay? So we've been talking a lot about freedom of speech and the incremental and consistent ongoing clampdown. You might have thought because Elon Musk bought Twitter and now that the whole controlling of information so that you don't get to see it has gone away. It has not gone away at all. Are we gaining some ground? Yeah, we are, for sure, because people are losing their fear and starting to speak out. I see a lot less things banned than I used to. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Hey, make sure you subscribe and subscribe to the channels that you see this on. If you haven't already, if you're on Facebook, be a follower, okay? If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on Rumble, subscribe. Make sure you get the notification bell so that you know when these things are coming. And then again, like it, share it, tell other people about it. Every single thing that you do will increase visibility. All right. Hey, God bless you, bro. All right. So episode 101. Let's start with crashing California and Colorado. So I'm going to give you a statement that I hope you listen closely to. This is from my heart. It's amazing to me, and by the way, all of these links, if you're a first-time watcher, all of these links are available in the description box up on the top of all of the outlets. It shows these links, and you ought to be able to go right to them. And if you can't direct link to them, because some of these venues have changed their policy, you can always cut and paste it and put it in your browser. So it is amazing to me that people will fight for a party or a personality rather than fighting for the truth, which will lead to the well-being of all human beings. Let me say that one more time. It's amazing to me that people will fight for their party rather than the truth and the well-being of human beings. You see this a lot right now. You're going to see a lot more in the next few months. There are going to be a lot of surprises that happen, things that you're maybe not expecting, black swan events, October surprise, whatever you want to call it. Unexpected things are going to happen in the next few months prior to the election because Satan knows better than most human beings, saved or not, what's coming. Okay? So we don't want you to be surprised and all of that. But what I'm saying is it's amazing to me that people get so locked into their position or what. It's like, think of it this way. So we said in the church for years and years, don't be involved in politics and all that. I had encounters with the Lord where he said, listen, the devil cares about politics. That's why he's in them. Okay? Duh. Come on, somebody say something. Thanks, Steve. The devil cares about politics. That's why he's in them. God cares about him. Of course he cares about him. He cares about injustice and righteousness. And the Bible says, you know, that when the leaders are righteous, people rejoice and pray for those that are. I mean, I declared all these things for. So the devil cares about it. God cares about it. How is it that we ever got to the place where he stood up in the pulpit and said, you shouldn't care about it? Wash your hands of it. Go away. Okay. So let me just draw a quick illustration. Think about religion in the broad spectrum. People will fight for their religion and their denomination more than they will seeking out the truth to know what is true. Hey, Mike, like you'll ask people, are you a Christian? They'll say, well, I'm a Baptist, okay? Or I'm a charismatic, or I'm a Catholic, okay? There's something in us that I don't know how to explain it, but we want to fight for this thing that we've been involved in rather than searching out the truth. And all truth comes back to the man, the God man, very God, very man, who said, I am the truth. Okay? So we see this playing out today. Carmen, God bless you. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. We see this happening right now in the governing of human beings. We see people that are more willing to fight for whoever is supporting the party that they've always fought for, rather than, okay, here's the truth of what's happening. I'm gonna go for the truth. And actually, there are a lot of people that are coming out of, and I've talked about this plainly, I believe that the Democratic Party has aligned themselves with dark and evil forces, and a lot of people, it's gotten so bad that even people that perhaps are not hardcore believers in Jesus are going, this is crazy. This is whack. Okay? So, you get what I'm saying? God bless you, Carmen. So, people are often willing to fight for their party more than they are to fight for the truth. Now, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to show you a couple examples, if you'll hang on, about, well, like RFK, and there's a lady, I'm going to tell you about her coming out. And there are, for every one of these that you see that reaches the big guys in the media, you know what I'm talking about, you know, True Social, X, CBS, they actually, well, CBS won't do it, but guys who'll come out and say, hey, I'm coming out of this party because they're crazy. For every one of those people that you see, there's 100 that you won't see. So there is a movement. In other words, I'm trying to encourage you, your prayers matter. Your voice matters. You watching this program matters, and other programs, and just commenting, saying, yes, I agree with that. That's right. That's truth. And then sharing it with somebody matters. And then you giving your own opinion, even at the risk of being taken offline. So what? Okay? It's a big deal. Okay? So you tell the truth, you live the truth, you speak the truth, and it does make a difference. You just don't always see it right away. But here's good news. It's happening. People are waking up, and that's really good news. All right. So I'll get to that in a little bit. Let's jump into the first issue here, the emergency in California and Colorado, and frankly, the USA and the whole world. But I can't give you all of them. I'm just going to give you a couple quick links. And again, if you're a first-time watcher or listener, what I do is I provide some of these links for you. I try to keep it down to a few. I try to make sure they're short. The ones that are long, I encourage you, if you have time, watch the whole thing because they're worth watching. If you don't have time, don't just dismiss it. Don't just, well, I don't have time for that one. Watch the first 5 minutes. Why? Closely held secret in the media is that they try to hook you in the first 5 minutes. So they do literally tell you the most important stuff in the first 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't mean that everything else isn't of value. It just means that, you know. So do your best to watch them all. I'm having a harder and harder time. Hi, Stella. And I think that was Christ's. Who was that? No, I can't see who it was. Anyway, I'm having a harder and harder time posting some of these. You know, some of you have been watching me for a while. I'll write must watch on the link, okay? And if you get to a link that you can't find, or for some reason one of these outlets are not allowing you to see, get a hold of me, okay? I'm not so busy that I can't help you find a link that works. Okay, I might have just shot myself in the foot right there. All right, so link number 1, it's 5 minutes long, a little more than 5 minutes. This is a sheriff in California. His name is Chad Bianco. I think it's Humboldt County. He explains what is happening. Now, listen, this is not some guy, you know, in his living room like me, you know, an armchair coach saying, blah, 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 we ought to do this. Well, you know, the world's going to, you know, pot. No, this is a sheriff, okay, who is saying, here's what they're not telling you. All right? Are you ready for that? Hey, Steph. Come on, you guys. I don't see people talking that much. Let's get going. So, Sheriff Chad Bianco explains the current frightening situation in California. Okay? This short press release, he's doing a press release. He's flanked by some of his officers. He's standing there, public media statement. I'm going to tell you this. I'll say this with all of these because it's not true. This is very well written. His speech. It is a speech. Hey, Kev. Love you, man. It is a speech. It's not very long. It's 5 minutes and 47 seconds. You can do that, okay? But it is extremely well written, and it is packed with truth and information. So I feel compelled to recommend this to you. This very first one, make sure, well, actually, you don't even have to turn on your closed cap. I turn on the closed caption on some of these so I don't miss the words. I don't hear quite as well, depending on what I'm watching it in. Sometimes people don't speak well. It's, it's wah, wah, wah. You can't always hear what they're saying. I turn on the closed caption. This one is provided for you so you can follow along the words. Listen and watch closely what this man is saying. Extremely well done and extremely important. You say, well, what is it about? Well, you might have guessed it. It's about the migrant crisis. And he's not just coming out saying it's kind of bad. He's giving some examples of what's going on in California right now. And he's basically sounding the alarm. Without sounding like a freakazoid or an alarmist, he's saying this is going to end this state, basically. That's not a quote, but he's saying it is getting so bad, we're not going to be able to turn this thing around if something doesn't happen right away. Okay? And these guys who are in law enforcement, they put their career on the line to do this. Is not just some guy who's just hot-headed and wants to vent on YouTube. Okay? This is a guy putting his career and his livelihood and his well-being of his wife and kids on the line to bring the truth. That you will never see this on ABC or NBC or CBS or CNBC or CNN or blah, blah, blah. I hope you're not even watching those anymore except for to see what the left is saying. Anyway, watch it. Watch it. Make sure you follow his head. This is one you should watch more than once, but that's my opinion. Number 2. This one is 40 seconds long. Okay? I'm not trying to be nasty, but can you watch 40 seconds? You can do it. Okay, 40 seconds long. This is madness. And that's actually what I wrote down. This is madness. Madness. Craziness. It's almost like some people get so deceived. And I mentioned this the other day. Paul, the apostle in the Bible, it says that he had like great scales on his eyes. He was so blinded by his fervor for his party. His was a religious party, but it's the same thing, that he could not see what he was doing was demonic. And when God delivered him, the scales fell off his eyes. And it's like these guys, still California. Oh, I forgot to mention Colorado. Actually, I've got a link for that. I'll get to in a minute. Thank you, Lord. Keep me on track. All right. So this is still in California. This is a news agency, okay, saying, alert, illegal migrants are attempting, are you ready for this? To hijack school buses. If my friend Tom's watching, pray for me, Tom. I'm telling you, sometimes I just get so frustrated. I want to throttle these guys. I just want to say, slap them across the face and say, what is wrong with you? These are kids. Here's what I think part of the problem is. A lot of these leaders that we elect, stupidly, okay, not always, I know there's false election, but some of these leaders, they live in ivory towers. Now what that means is they're completely, their kids go to private school, they have arms, all this stuff. They're unaware of what's going on, okay? They are blissfully ignorant of the true dangers that are happening. And so somebody gets a hold of the news and says, hey, this has happened. They literally, small gang of migrants, try to hijack the school with your kids. Now, here's another issue. If it happened to the governor's kids or the mayor's kids or the police officer's kids or your kid, isn't it interesting that many times Mothers for Drunk Driving is a great example. It took a mom having her child killed by a drunk driver to change the culture of the permission-giving mechanisms of our law for drinking and driving. At any day, I come from that culture years ago. You got people every hour of every day. At one point, I'm talking 20 years ago, who were getting drunk in bars and getting in their car and driving away. There was nobody watching that. There was no like accountability for the bartender to take. None of that was there, okay, at one time. What did it take? It took someone personally being touched by it before they started sounding the alarm. And I'm so glad they did. And I applaud, bravo for that. But here's the deal. You don't want to be touched by it before you say something. Come on. Be brave. Have courage. Post it. Put it online. Well, they'll take me off and my friends won't like me. Big stinking deal. God will, I believe, hold us accountable for being silent. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, there's a movie coming out about him. He said these words. He says, silence in the face of evil is evil itself. And Martin Luther King said these words. I don't like everything, but they said that this one was good. He said, it is more dangerous for people to be silent than it is for the people doing others physical harm, because it permits the thing to grow. All right, that's number 2. Okay, 40-some seconds long. Number 3. Now, this one is the Colorado thing. Are you still with me? Come on, somebody talk. I know I'm mesmerizing you, but say something. Say, preach it, Jim. All right. Number 3, Venezuelan gangs. Now, you probably heard a number of people, including Donald Trump, say that it's, in other words, again, please, it's become common knowledge. Please don't write and say, I don't know if that's true. Okay, save your breath. It is true. The government officials in Venezuela, who their whole country has basically, the people have suffered immensely unto death because of bad leadership, okay? Venezuela has been in the toilet. So what they have recently done, because President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris opened the borders with a wink and a nod and like, yeah, everybody come in, the Venezuelan government has said, and this is provable, easily provable, hey, we're going to let you out of jail so long as you go to America. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. Don't you tell me that leadership doesn't matter. God said it matters. We're the ones that said it didn't matter. I hope you've repented of that. I have. So all these Venezuelan gangs have infected this country. Now that's not a euphemism. That's not, I'm not overstating it. Now I'm not saying that they proliferated and the whole country's taken over. That's not what I'm saying. But we're starting to see the results of these Venezuelan gangs by name. You can look at the thing and see the name. This is one example. 21 minutes and 22 seconds long, 21, 22. Again, you can watch the first 10 minutes. I hate to encourage you to do that because I do think you ought to watch it all. But I also know that a lot of people, let's be honest, won't watch them because they're like, I already know that or blah, blah, blah. So watch first 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Venezuelan gangs, and I've posted this a couple of weeks ago, I think, have taken over 2, yes, somebody say 2 apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. It's not a tiny town, okay? So here's what's happened. They come in and they all convert to Jesus. No, they don't, okay? These are mostly Islamic, many of them, not all of them. I don't know that these Venezuelan gangs they're just gang members. I don't know that they have any religious affiliation, but it's happening in both of those camps. They come here, what are they going to do? They're going to start being good guys because they live in America? Come on. If they get saved, they will be, and we ought to be doing everything we can to cause people to have a conversion experience to come to the Lord and forsake their murder and their raping and their stealing and all of those things. Again, hasn't happened to you, but if it did, you'd be shouting it from the rooftops, and you would be. This whole idea of, well, we've given up our rights and we're not supposed to, we're just kind of passive. No. I trust me when I tell you all that will go away. So, now these complexes are inhabited by just regular law-abiding citizens, okay? So the Venezuelan gangs, I don't know how they did it. I don't know all the information. And it shows video. Of them coming to this one person's apartment door and banging on the door and eventually breaking in and coming in. I don't know if they're threatening them. A lot of this comes down to trying to buy, protection like the mobs do, Hey, we're going to give you protection. protection from who? Well, from us, so we don't kill you. That's how it works. It's a gimmick. It's a scam, but it's based in violence and it works. So they go and they say, hey, we're going to protect you from the other gangs, and if you don't pay, you're going to have to be protected from us. In other words, you're going to be killed. You give us $100 a month or $500 a month. You get what I'm saying? Come on. We got to wake up. We got to wake up. Yes, the love of Jesus. You can be a warrior and love Jesus and love people at the same time. Quit hiding behind that. All right. So they've taken over 2 complexes. Now, here's the big deal about this. The local government has made light of it. Oh, it's not that big a deal. Really, truly. Because this is what we do. Because the leadership would rather not be looked bad upon. They're scared to do anything. They don't want to go attack the gangs because then they might get attacked by the gangs. You get what I'm saying? You know what we need? We need some people with some, what. We need some people with a spine. We need some people with some backbone. We need some leadership who are willing to lay their life down to do the right thing. Would to God that we had leaders whose only motivation was to do the right thing in order to help people. We don't have a lot of that right now. God willing, we'll get some of that back. I hope you're praying for that. I hope this is not entertainment. Do you understand? If I thought this was just entertainment for you, I would stop doing this tomorrow. Okay, that's not my goal. Anyway, watch the first one, as much of it as you can. The second one is Fox doing a very short one, 4 minutes and 42 seconds. And I give you these times so you'll know. 4 minutes, 42 seconds. Let's see, what is Steve saying? Sorry, I'm not afraid. Help is on the way. Amen. All right, help is on the way, but we still have a job to do. Amen. So, Fox gave a short thing about this too. That'll help you understanding as well. And again, the thing that infuriates me about this is that the leadership does. There's a culture in leadership, not everybody, that says, let's not panic, everybody. That's a real thing because people do panic. Okay, so you do have to use some wisdom there. But it's grown this, let's not tell them what the truth. Let's just tell them what they need to hear so they don't go ballistic and start running down the street like Chicken Little. But this has grown. You might start out with some wisdom. Kennedy's assassination was basically, I said it. Oh, what's going to happen now? His assassination came on the heels of him saying, I'm going to shut down these secret, talking about the CIA, there is so much secret evil that's going on, I'm going to shut it down. That's literally what he was saying. A month later, he was assassinated. Okay? And those information that they've refused to release ever since back in whatever year that was, somebody will know the year, 60, whatever, they're going to release that. Anyway, secrecy breeds more secrecy. Lying breeds more lying, and so on and so on. So that's what gets me, is the willingness to soft pedal everything for the sake of, either protecting our position or telling ourselves that we're protecting people. All right, so here's the next one. Just settle down and shut up. Okay, are you still with me? Somebody say amen. All right. So this one, settle down and shut up. But this is how I title these sections. Okay, I put these into sections so you can find them easier. I've been talking about the way we lose America is through the loss of freedom of speech. That is absolutely the truth. Every philosophical voice, people that study history, whatever, with few exceptions, will tell you the starting place in losing freedom, and most countries don't have freedom, is taking away your right to speak out in opposition to the ruling class. Okay, I'm not trying to use big fancy words. I'm saying basically authority corrupts and ultimate authority corrupts ultimately. That is a well agreed upon phrase. Almost everybody knows that's true. Okay, I think Jesus was probably the only guy that broke that rule. Okay, he wasn't corrupted by authority. So basically, authority, as it progresses into deeper and deeper states of corruption, which it almost always will do, okay? That's why we tried to make a system that had checks and balances to kind of keep that, or at least slow it down, okay? As authority is being corrupted, it is the natural outflow of that corruption that says we don't want anybody telling us what to do. We don't want anybody exposing that. We'll kill people, okay? If you don't think governments are willing to take people out because they expose corruption, you are just naive. Because, yeah, anyway, you understand what I'm saying? So this whole thing about tamping down on free speech, and it's been going on for years and years, is now turned a corner. You understand? Okay? I'm not saying that it's gotten better, although in some areas it has gotten better. Okay? But I think overarching that we have just turned a corner. So people from other countries, I talked about the UK, are now passing laws, and they're calling them, they're not calling them hate laws. They're actually taking old laws that were called blasphemy laws and turning them into tamping down on free speech. So we call it in this country hate speech. The problem is we have it's so vague. Any judge can determine just about anything that goes against the narrative or causes problems, okay? As it's happened in the UK, they say anybody that incites violence through their postings on the internet, that's going to be considered, hate speech, blasphemy law, whatever, inciting violence. Blah. They're starting to arrest people. Okay, it doesn't matter if you haven't seen this. It is happening. Okay, I'm just saying, not trying to be mean. Hi, Christy. God bless you. It's just true. They're arresting people. Okay, we have evidence, video evidence. So what does this mean for the United States? Oh, that's Germany. That's Korea. That's the UK is the largest democratic society that I'm aware of in the entire world. They're probably as close to America as far as true democracy, or what we declare that to be, than anybody. And they're putting people in jail and we're not talking about posts that call for civil war. We're not talking about posts that say, everybody grab your gun and go out and start killing people. No. We're just talking about people saying, hey, that's wrong. Hey, this group of migrants, illegal migrants, they raped this girl. You're inside. What are they doing? Well, they've got widespread violence happening in the streets. Most of the time, illegal immigrants against national citizens starting to clash, which anybody with a brain could have said was going to happen, okay? Now it is happening. What do they do? Well, again, rather than doing the right thing and saying, you know what? Here's the law. You don't like our and again, I'm not talking about, tamping down on disagreement. I'm talking about you cannot hate this country. You cannot burn the flag. You cannot go out and create violence in the streets. And so instead of tamping down on those, and this is how it goes, this happened in BLM, it happened with Antifa, and all of these things that happened, here just a year ago, 2 years ago. Instead of punishing the people that are doing evil things, they punish the people that are trying to bring the public's attention to it. Now, again, you say, well, what does that have to do with me? They're reaching into this country and saying, now literally, Elon Musk, you heard me say this the other day, we are going to charge you, the UK, an American citizen, with some kind of a crime. I can't tell you all the names. They got names for everything, okay? We're going to charge. Have you considered what it would be like if that happened? And then it started happening with some big figures, and then it just trickles down to the little guys like you and I, where they start arresting you like they're doing in UK, okay? Now we have the authority to reach across the pond into someone else's country. Why? Well, our country would have to agree with that, which they're starting to do already, okay? Because they don't like Elon either, okay? And they don't like the free speech either. Why? Because it is shedding light on what's happening. All right, I'll stop my commentary. So number one, under this thing of shut up and settle down and be quiet and all that, is the story about Brazil. Brazil, the country of Brazil, has banned X. This is coming in other countries. It will try to come to the United States. Number two, this one is where a woman who's, I believe, talking about Ireland, another country, who is shedding light on her own government, saying they have stated, okay, that we do not want to define what hate speech is. Listen now, listen close, okay? Hear what I'm saying. We do, now these are the powers that be, this is their government saying we do not want to define hate speech because, listen now, it will limit our ability to prosecute. What does that mean? That means if we get too definitive about, sorry, I'm correcting a word here, about what hate speech actually is. In other words, right now, we can just define it willy-nilly, whatever we want. And if you start talking about too many health issues, okay, the jab or whatever you want to talk about, and it goes against what we want everyone to believe, that's hate speech. Or if you call somebody out for doing evil out on the street, that might actually cause someone, because somebody could go out and protest and be violent, okay? You're not going to prevent people from doing that by tamping down on information. You won't. It's stupid. Okay, and people that think that works are stupid. Okay, I'm sorry, they just are. Anyway, number 2, this one's 1 minute long, and it's simply this lady telling you this. Why is it important to watch these? Because we bring the receipts. Okay, as Dan Bongino says, has made that statement famous. We bring the receipts. We don't just come on and give you this secret information that may or may not be true. I don't do that. I won't do that. Okay, if it's secret information, then you can investigate that on your own time. I'm going to share stuff that is verifiable to the best of my ability. All right, somebody say amen, Jim. So number 3, there's a lot of rhetoric going on about Kamala and her past. And you've heard me say this a number of times. I believe this is 100% the truth. Thank you, Linda. 100% the truth is that Kamala, I call her Kamala the chameleon. I'm not trying to just mock her. I'm saying that she is a chameleon. That is the best way, I think, to describe her policies. And she's proving that right now. It's one of the reasons she hasn't given an interview up for 40 days. And then when she finally gave one, I just heard, and I don't have evidence for it, so I'm letting you know that ahead of time, that the actual interview was like 90 minutes long. They cut it down to 18 minutes because that was the only thing that wasn't messed up, I guess. I don't know. More later on that. I don't want to say too much. But this is Tucker Carlson, if I remember this correctly, talking to a gentleman who brings the receipts about Kamala. She was raised by parents who were Marxist. And that's why I wrote this, Kamala, to be or not to be a Marxist. So you don't hear much about this in mainstream media, okay? Marxism is actually, and communism, gaining favor in this country. It is not to the point where it is taken over, but we could hit a tipping point pretty quick. If people don't get it in their heads what's happening and speak out, they have to speak out against it. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing my part. All right, so this literally, tells, and it talks about the statements she makes about, being unburdened by the past. Everybody laughs at that, makes a joke about it. This fella is telling you actually where that phrase comes. It actually is part of the Marxist playbook. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds. You can watch it. Get yourself informed. Number 4. Now this one's 12 minutes long, but again, I highly recommend, if you don't have time, watch the first 5 minutes of it. You're going to get a good chunk of it. This is something that's gone viral. Now, this is a woman, and I told you earlier in the beginning of the show, people are leaving the Democratic Party. Not because it's like, oh, I'm this party, I'm this party. Mom and Daddy were this party. No, it's about it has become evil. And I'm not saying every person is evil. I don't believe that's the truth. But I'm saying policy has sided with and aligned itself with dark things. Okay, perversion, the killing of children, babies, human trafficking. I watched a video this morning. It was stunning. A gentleman talking, the statistics about what's happening with those things. And I can't go down that road right now. But so this woman was a long time Democratic insider. Now, what I mean by insider is she was a, what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody say, like an activist. She helped in the different elections, and she was a volunteer and blah, blah, blah. So she did it long enough. Her parents, and her, she had a lifetime. She did it long enough to where she knew a lot of the inner workings of the Democratic Party, and not just them, but the whole governmental system, and watched the decay and this. And like many, she's basically said, I can't do this anymore. I just can't watch what this has become and be okay with this. I keep trying to be okay with it. I can't anymore. So she hasn't like flipped and said, I'm going to be a Republican or I'm going to vote for Trump or anything like that. But she says, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just can't do this anymore. And her interview takes about 5 minutes. And then the other almost 10 minutes is a guy commenting about it. So, whatever. Anyway, watch first 5 minutes. And I'm going to say this about what she talks about. One of the main things you can listen for. The system, and somebody said this the other day online, I thought it was brilliant. It says, we're not really fighting against people. We're fighting against a machine. Now, we know as believers that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. That's people, in case you missed what flesh and blood means, okay? I'm not trying to mock you, okay? We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. In other words, that's not saying we are not involved in anything, okay? We are supposed to render to Caesar what's Caesar's, okay? Now, perhaps we ought to interpret that a little differently than we have. But it is more than that. We know at its core, it's a spiritual warfare, okay? The enemy's involved, God's involved. The question is whether we're involved, so we get that. But that doesn't mean we don't have something to do. We do. We're called on God. Okay? Silence in the face of evil is evil itself. We're supposed to speak the truth in love. Speak the truth. If we do nothing else, we're called to speak, okay? I hope we get that. Trying to shift our brains a little bit. But there's so much to do with money. One of the things you'll hear her say, if you're listening for it, our system of governance, I'm going to make a statement here, is so drenched in money that it's almost, I think, impossible to turn it around. Now, I know all of you charismatic, prophetic people are, oh, but what about with this? And there's hope. And I actually do believe that. I believe there's hope. I'm saying the system as it stands right now, if it stays the same, cannot get better. There has to be some radical, fundamental changes about how we do politics. And we are called to do politics, in my opinion. So much of it talks about these people spending 8 to 10 hours a day doing nothing but calling and asking for money. There has to be some really hardcore things happen to deliver us from our drunken dependency on money as it's involved in politics, or it won't get better, okay? I could do a whole program on that and give you some examples, but the whole, this corporation funding this guy and then they get to say what he stands for, that has got to go away, okay? So this guy wins the election because he's got $498 billion to put in advertising, and this guy only has $10 billion, so he's going to win it. This has got to go away, okay? If you think the system as it is right now is going to keep working, it won't. We're hitting a place where we're coming to the end of it, in my opinion. All right, it's just my opinion. The last one is just a couple. Now, I want to end you with a funny. So, you've probably heard the phrase Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. Okay, so most of you know RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr., who has now thrown his support in for Donald Trump. His big lifetime commitment is the health of the nation, the health of our children, taking down big pharma. Let me just say this about the pharmaceutical industry. First of all, I want to say I believe in medicine. Okay, I take medicine, and so do you. There's probably only one in 100,000 people that say I don't take any medicine at all. And there was a time in my life I didn't either. And I'm not saying that's bad. I think that's fantastic if you could do that, for sure. But 99% of the people who are watching this, if you get pneumonia, you're going to take antibiotics. So let's just not throw everything under the same basket. Okay, I want to start with that. Okay, however, there's always boundaries, right? We're called to walk in truth. We're called to walk in doing what's best for people. The pharmaceutical industry, pharmakia, okay, that's the whole big subject, not all medicine. Actually, I won't go down there. Anyway, drugs, illegal drugs, but not even illegal, legal drugs. The pharmaceutical industry is a multi-trillion-dollar a year industry, and they don't make money by getting you whole. RFK knows this, okay? So it's another whole subject, but I wanted to set the stage for this ad that RFK has made. So he's against, the big pharma and the fact that they're keeping people in the food industry as well that has polluted and tainted our food with so many chemicals, and we're just used to it. All right? So most of you guys have seen are you still with me? Somebody say something. Okay. Let's get this. I'm coming down to the end. Your chance to comment here is running out, so say something. Most of you, like me, have sat down and watched television at one time or another, and when it's like a standard, like CBS, NBC, whatever, I love watching the internet because I get to choose, okay? But the ones with all the commercials, it's like every other commercial, and it's not an exaggeration. Literally, I've watched programs. Every other commercial is the pharmacy industry, okay? And that's because they got a lot of money. And these alphabet agencies, they depend on advertising, okay? So what RFK has done is he has made a kind of a mockery of these pharmaceutical ads that you're always seeing. So his ad for the coming election is made to look like a pharmaceutical ad. The name of the medicine, let me see if I wrote it down. The name of the medicine, I think, is called Independence. I don't know. You'll have to watch. You will enjoy watching this, okay? You will enjoy watching it. So he says, and it comes on, that soft-spoken guy. Have you ever had this problem? Have you ever found yourself hating Donald Trump for no reason? Have you ever, and it's, he goes into all, lost your ability to think, correctly, and all this. And he says, do you have TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? He says, we've got this medicine for you. It's called Independence. Like, they've got all these fancy names, for these different, anyway. I'm going to leave it to that. You're going to want to watch that. It's very short. What did I say? It's the whole thing is only 1 minute and 53 seconds. You'll love that. Okay, I'm done. Let me just end with a couple real quick. There's one that's a Dr. Phil. It is kind of long. I can't even tell you how long it is. I just know it is because all of it is long. But it's about our appetite for destruction. This issue of our food has taken way too long to come to this place where we will confess that we're killing our own people through this. And through what we put in, there's hardly anything that you eat, even the fresh fruits and vegetables, that isn't tainted with chemicals that you shouldn't be putting in your body. And of course, it's cheap, right? It's cheap. It's expensive to do the right thing, inexpensive to do the wrong thing. That's Dr. Phil. That's a good one. And then there's a couple about actually just one about the coming financial crash. It's a long one. It's 21 minutes long. But for those of you who want to take the time, do you know that Warren Buffett has sold millions and millions, billions of dollars worth of his stock in banks and in other things? Because the guys like Buffett and some of the other big names, they know what's coming. At this point, it's I think, probably unavoidable. And I only say that not to be a fear monger, but just so you'll be ready. Okay, you need to, get supplies. You need to save money. You do. I know it's hard. Okay, it's really funny. All those years that we were having a hard time saving money, we still went to McDonald's once in a while. I'm just saying, you got to be wise. And please, I will slap you in the face. No, I won't. If you say, "Well, God's going to protect me," yeah. So you don't have to use wisdom. You don't have to prepare. You don't have to do anything because God's going to take care of you. Well, of course He's going to take care. But does God take care of the foolish? Okay. The Bible says, and I'll leave you with this quote. It says, "The fool sees difficulty coming, the storm coming, the tornado, and does nothing. But the wise prepares." Now that's butchering the quote, but that is in there, okay, for those of you who actually believe the Bible. All right, again, I'll end by saying, you don't want to be ignorant of a tornado that's coming. It's much better to know, to hear the news guys say it's coming than it is to go, I just don't watch, the weather because God's going to take care of me. I'm sorry, it's not like I'm mocking, but some of these foolish things that we have said and believed are foolish, and we have to change them. Thank you guys. Love you all. Hopefully we'll get this on YouTube and Rumble by tonight. If not, it'll be first thing in the morning. And so yeah, we love you. Again, when it comes on YouTube and Rumble, please go there. Even if you can only go on for a couple minutes, say hello. The algorithms will pick up that you watch the show, and it'll literally, again, this is not for popularity. Okay, this is so that other people who will never see this video will see it. And that is exactly how it works. So, all right, love you guys. God bless you. We're going to sign out. Give yourself permission to have a great day.